chairs here, right?
I was gonna say, oh yeah, I'm not gonna be sitting down, so mine's good here too, so. Yeah, they're back, yeah, we have a just so we don't fall over them. Thank you. Okay, there we go.
If you're late, you have to sit in front.
Exactly. On the spot. Welcome. We're here tonight for the low-carb support group meeting. Do we have any new people? All right. This is great. So what we usually do here, my name is Amber Keithley, and I work for HEALcare. And HEALcare is one of Dr. Westman's companies. And what we do is the people that Dr. Westman could not see at Duke because of his schedule there, he created another avenue to be able to see him, and HEALcare is one of those avenues. We offer not only a medically supervised program, but we also offer a non-medical program. And with that, the things that you don't get that he doesn't have at Duke is we have a lot of behavioral things. We have the partner, so you have somebody that's right there with you that knows how to follow the plan. They know how to tell you how to tweak things if you need to tweak something. And they're going to be your individual partner. Then you also are going to have once a week coaching. And that's going to be commitment coaching. It's going to be in a group of no more than 8 people. It's going to be a video conference. And it is my absolute favorite part of the program. I did the program myself. And then after I had finished the program, I decided that they could not do without me. And so I insisted that HEALcare actually hire me. And so I actually went to them and told them that they needed someone who had my passion for their company working for them. So that was kind of how I came to work for HEAL. But once I did the program, I realized that it really actually works. And I was pre-diabetic, and my A1C was climbing towards the type 2 diabetic range, very close. And so she said, I'm not going to be able to list you as pre-diabetic again if you don't do something about this. And so I said, okay, I got to do something. So I started doing the research, and I found Dr. Westman. And so I started this program. Within 1 month, I reversed that and was in the normal range. So it took my cholesterol from 206 down to 160. It actually climbed back up a little bit after that, but that's no big deal. We don't worry about that. I got off of all of my anti-inflammatories. And I was taking the big dogs. I was taking Voltaren twice a day, maximum dose. I had chronic tendonitis in my elbows and in my shoulders from being a massage therapist for about 25 years. So I'd done the damage. But as soon as I went ketogenic, I literally have not taken one anti-inflammatory since then. Haven't needed it. And it is, I can use my elbows, I can set my elbows on tables, I can do all those things and no problems. So I know that this plan works. I know that what Dr. Westman has taught us actually works. I lost 51 pounds as just a bonus. I went from a size 14 down to a size 2-4, which is great. You know, of course, we laugh about that because, you know, what's a 2-4? I'm only going to buy that brand of jeans because that's what I can wear in that one. So, but anyway, that's, to me, was a bonus that came along with the actual health benefits. So you guys have heard my story a little bit before, and we talk about Siri calling me fat and those kinds of things. And we, you know, and I joke about that, you know, that's actually true. That really did happen. But I love this company, and I love this program. There's nothing secretive about it whatsoever. We all know what the ketogenic diet is. We know what Dr. Westman does. But the benefits of being a part of the HEAL program, to me, are that individual supervision and that individual help. If you don't need Dr. Westman's actual medical supervision, you still can have that supervision with the actual people that are there that have been through this, that have walked this, and have been trained by Dr. Westman and Jackie Eberstein. So anyway, I will be here to talk to you about the program afterwards. If you have any questions, you can pick up one of the cards and you can let us know. But now you didn't come to listen to me, you came here to see Dr. Westman. So, and we all know Dr. Westman, I assume. Everybody that's here, you're here because you know who he is. He's written amazing articles. He is actually going to talk to us a little bit tonight about something that has been in the news recently, about the diet being, what did they say? What was their actual words?
With
Oh, could.
yeah.
Yeah.
It depends which media outlet you got. Ranging from it will kill you today to it will shorten your life by 4 years. Did you hear those? Yeah. Don't worry. It didn't really apply. I didn't really study what we do.
Right.
But so they don't know. But anyway, so not to worry. Well, that was all really I wanted to say. Is not to worry about it.
I thought we were going to have like an elaborate discussion with the whole thing.
No.
Okay, you can go on our website and read about it. So there you go.
Yeah. Actually, Jackie
wrote
Everstein,
us. Yeah.
she wrote the long, deep dive into why the study didn't apply to what we do. So, can we start by asking the new folks to say hello or to why you're here, how you got here, and I value or I assess the value of a program by how much you talk, not by how much I talk. So, or make it let me focus on what's on your minds today. Or is anyone here because you were dragged here and you don't know anything about keto? Yeah, there's usually a couple.
There's always one husband that's in drag.
So for you guys, it's important for you to know that how many of all the rest of us have been doing this for more than, let's say, a year. Raise your hand. Yeah, and we're still alive, and we don't have horns, and so it's just real food, but it still has all sorts of weird connotations. So welcome, and so after 8 years of clinical research, and for me it started in 1998, and everyone knew that this way of eating would be harmful and like being on the edge of a cliff would don't do that, you'll kill yourself by eating fat. And so it took me about 8 years to not stutter to say it's okay to eat fat. And now 12 years into a clinical practice at Duke, the queue is out to 4 to 6 months, and so we had to come up with some way to increase the availability of the information. In other words, 2 entrepreneurs came to me and said, how many people have you seen in 8 years at Duke? And I calculated out, and how many people need this? Well, millions. So how many people are you going to be able to see? Well, yeah, okay, I got it. So our mission is to train other people to be able to do this for you. And having Jackie Everstein on my team as the director of programs, she worked with Dr. Atkins for 30 years. We have the best knowledge that's possible on how to practically do keto. And actually now it shines because it's an uncomplicated way of doing it. So just today, I had some new patients come in. People are trying to make it too hard, or it's confusing because do I have to do this? Do I have to count that? Do I need this and that? And so this kind of keto approach is relatively uncomplicated. And that is basically Jackie Everstein and Dr. Atkins' method that we use, just using real foods. You don't have to add in other kinds of products. So the dream was to develop a company not only to make this available medically, but also to non-medical coaching, and then having the psychological support that I can't provide. And so we got the dream to do that, and it's available now in the HEALclinics.com. Go there, you fill in the health questionnaire, and then we review it to see if you need a medical person. We have 2 new clinics open in Virginia and have signed in a couple other states. Can't tell you about them yet, but things are progressing, never fast enough. But we were just up in, Amber and I were in Monterey, Virginia. Does anyone know that beautiful part of the Blue Ridge? If you go up to Charlottesville and take a left, go about 90 minutes up winding roads. They call it the little Switzerland of Virginia because it's just this gorgeous valley. And one of the locals there has her and her husband's mission to change the health of their community. And they started a lecture series based on the keto diet. And there was a young doctor from Charlottesville who was just dying to come up and practice there. And hopefully they'll make some big change there. But any thoughts about, there were, 85 people came out? The town only had 120 people. So it was from the region. I mean, they brought in people from around the area.
But there's less than 2,000 in the county. So, I mean, even there, that tells you how hungry these people were for some real information about their way of eating. So.
But it was great. Heal Clinics helped us put that on. They had a booth there and giving the knowledge out there, and also having the availability of actually teaching you at a distance wherever you are if you don't have a medical problem. So anyway, thanks to Heal. And Adapt Your Life is a product company that sells keto-compatible foods. It's different in the company, but it's still consistent with the keto or low-carb message. That was the other entrepreneur who approached me and said, you know, who is making products that are really, you know, only good foods and really keto-compatible, and there was no one. So we're helping with that. Adapt Your Life is sponsoring events now around the country, well, around North America, because we're doing one in Vancouver in a few weeks. But so September 22nd, the Adapt event in North Carolina event in Roxborough is going on, and I think it's sold out.
We already have that.
So it's sold out, but just to let you know that these are happening where we bring lecturers in who are local, and actually in practitioners who are local, so you can meet people in your area who are kind of almost, you know, I hate to say it, it's like they're in the closet, or they're not telling everyone that they're keto friendly. So at the conference, the Adapt meeting in Houston, the doctor who came up got all this business because these other patients didn't know that he was low carb friendly. You know, it's not like, and it's hard to find people. Anyway, so it's bringing together local consumers and doctors, and then we get to facilitate the whole event, which is a lot of fun. I'm even trying to get my local wonderful jazz singer to come sing at the event. Well, you know, cross your fingers about that. That'll be nice to have some sort of uplifting song. Anyway, so that's Heal and Adapt. And then I did want to just comment on this paper that went out, and it's got the big imprimatur of the Lancet journal, but it wasn't in the Lancet, which is a kind of confusing thing. It was a sub-journal of the major journal, and it just really didn't apply, and I know it confuses everyone, and the big headline was, don't do low-carb diets. I was getting a news feed today, and it said keto is going to do more harm than good. Just ignore all that stuff. You know, we've tried hard to keep low-carb out of the media, because as long as there's one person against it, then the media is going to always get that one person to say it's bad.
Yeah.
So it's always going to happen, because their job is to make it fair and balanced. But if they find one person, it's really not balanced anymore. But anyway, it's just the way they view the world. And not to worry, don't bail out of your, don't go back to eating carbs and getting diabetes again. So anyone, that's kind of my warm-up, so that if you're new, if you want to come up, tell your story, why you're here, how you heard about us, that's all really good information. Is anyone bold?
Just ask a question.
Sure.
I was online, and it said that there was a location for HEALcare on Fayetteville Road. Is that correct?
For HEALcare, yes. So the business model of HEALcare is to be inside another doctor's office. So the Heal clinics don't rent the space or own the space. And so the Heal clinic in Durham is within Dr. Simon's office on Fayetteville Road. And I'm the practitioner there on Mondays.
Okay. I'm a patient of yours, but would you recommend that I go to whatever they're doing at HEALcare?
So the difference between seeing Dr. Westman at Duke, where it's me and Roy. Has everyone met Roy? Yeah. So Roy is the clinical nurse's aide, and is that we do the best we can with what we have. And it's in a private practice, but we don't have a whole lot of bells and whistles. And so the HEAL clinics is outside of, as well, the Duke clinic takes insurance assignment and Medicare, Medicaid. The HEAL clinic does not. So if you walk across the street to the HEAL clinics, it's out of pocket, although you get a super bill to reimburse to your own insurance company, and many of them do reimburse at least part of the fee. But then you get the added psychological support and basically 24/7. You know, the world as a doctor has changed. I'll come back from a couple days vacation and there are all these email, my charts, and people expect me to, how come I didn't answer the email from yesterday when, you know, am I still alive? And you know, it used to be you had to like go see the doctor to talk to the doctor. And so what the HEAL provides is that level of accessibility that I just can't provide with the Duke clinic. So a couple differences is the better one-on-one support with HEALcare, and then I would say the difference in the insurance assignment or paying out of pocket is the other major difference. You have to decide on your own. I mean, if you're a new patient, want an appointment, the Duke clinic, the waiting list is 4 to 6 months.
It's 1 year now.
Or 1 year, yeah. Well, the little secret there is, now that you're here getting the secrets, oh, right, is that if you get an appointment at Duke and then call on Mondays, don't swamp them, please. You might get a cancellation for that week or the following week if your schedule is flexible. But the HEAL clinics, we could book you in for an appointment in 2 weeks, probably. You know, so it's much more accessible, but it's a different business model. So any new folks? There were like half you guys are here. Would you like to come down and say hello? You know. All right. Coming down because the microphone here will pick you up.
That's fine.
And,
Thank you. Good afternoon. Hi. And thanks for the welcome when I walked in the door. I'm Nancy Love, and I actually recently started, and along the way, I've been on several diets. And it's very disappointing when you eat a certain way and then you weigh yourself and you're like, what happened? Nothing happened. But anyway, I just started on this diet and went back to Dr. Westman about a week ago, and I've lost 7 pounds. So.
whatever. What makes you come out tonight?
The reason I come out is because I really think that I'm going to benefit from a support group. And then I came out also to taste a low-calorie, carb meal, and also to learn how to better prepare meals. So that's why I came out. It's a lot of good things to do, and I know all of you probably have good recipes. I've been looking for those. So thank you.
So may I ask before you go, the first thing you would notice doing the plan, program, low-carb, keto, whatever you want to call it, is the hunger should go away.
Yes.
Has that happened already? So
It has. It has started happening. Even yesterday was Labor Day, and I have a big family, so we all got together, and I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? So it worked. So I was
So has anyone noticed that the hunger goes away? Yeah, so there's no research study that says this. It can't be true. Well, there is one obscure research study that says it, but yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hi. Hi. My name is Sherry. I just moved here from Texas about 3 months ago. Joined DietDoctor.com about a year and a half ago or so and started on low carb and was successful. My mom was living with me. She's now totally non-diabetic, off of all of her meds. I left her and moved here to be with grandchildren and decided it was really time to take care of me after a lifelong of child obesity and family obesity and the psychological part of that. And I went strictly keto, and it has been so easy. But because of the emotional component of it that I've dealt with my whole life, in being here and not knowing anybody except my kids, when I heard about the support group, I just knew that it was a good place to reach out and meet new people and get the support, because I want the support before I lose it. I don't want to go down that hole. I want to stay where I am. So anyway, it's very good to be here. Thank you so much.
So please go say hi to her, okay?
My name's Corey Conklin. Like most people, my weight went like this my entire life. I was at one point 280 pounds and a 48. I got down to well under 2, back up again, and most of it was with low carb, but I never paid attention to how I felt. Now, my wife challenged me on Thanksgiving, who can lose 10 pounds fastest? I'm like, all right, I'm going to win. I have a whole lot more, but she doesn't have to lose weight. And since then, I've been paying attention. Okay, my knees don't hurt, my elbows don't hurt. I'm not to the weight I want to be, but if I don't lose another pound, I don't care. I feel amazing. And then since then, I love the barbecue, I love the smoked meat. Long story short, all barbecue ribs have sugar. And so I've started 2 companies to help people like you how to cook. How do you do it? I love to cook. I love to figure stuff out. And so it's, I don't have a Heal clinic, but I want to do the same thing and help other people say, okay, what do I need to do? And that's about my story.
What does this say?
That is actually one of the 2 companies. I am the creative keto cook. Come find out why weight loss never tasted so good. And then my other company is a sugar-free seasoning and spice company. Yes, some of it has salt, so if you can't have salt, pay attention. But they're all fresh. Select savory seasonings come savor the flavor. As I was telling the nice lady back here, a little bit of spice on your food makes all the difference. It's not bland, it's not dry, it's not disgusting. And I had 2 hamburgers a couple weeks ago. I put 1 spice on one and 1 on another. I had 2 different meals. It's just, there's so much more to it. And I know when you were talking about the study, I'm like, I know what you're talking about. I wanted to throw the computer across the room. But
How does someone get your stuff?
I should have brought about 100 business cards with me.
Through website?
Yep, creativeketocook.com, and on there is the link to Select Savory Seasonings, which is actually Select Seasonings. I shortened it, so selectseasonings.com.
And where are you based?
Rocky Mount, so I've got an hour and a half drive home when I get done today, and I'll see you guys on the 22nd also.
Yay!
My wife and I are going to be there.
Bring business cards.
Yeah.
Bring business
Oh,
cards.
samples.
Yeah,
Samples. Oh, yeah, samples.
yeah, I got to work on those too. Those cost. Well, but I've got some cards. I can even text pictures and take pictures of what cards I have and text them to you today too.
You
So,
can send them to me, and we'll just put them on the website.
okay, that'll work. I'll just give you one as I walk by. Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
It's all one.
It's been humbling for me as a doctor to learn about new businesses and startups, and to ask someone who's starting up for samples is kind of a huge deal. I mean, so as these companies grow and all, don't be too hard on them. I mean, or support them. Anyway. Yes. Hello.
Well,
What brings you out tonight?
It was a year ago that I met you.
Seems like yesterday.
You remember me?
No.
I do.
I'm a HEALcare partner.
Awesome.
Eileen.
Okay, Eileen, of course. Well, we
So-
met in the hall of the clinic at 2.
Yes.
Yes, see, I do
Yes.
remember.
He was kind enough. So I met a colleague of Dr. Westman's. I actually work for him, you guys. And I'm one of the, what do we call it? I'm a partner, which is like a coach on the non-medical side of things. The benefit for me is that since I met Dr. Westman a year ago, I lost 32 pounds.
Well, you look a little different.
Right? And Amber. So Amber, I emailed with these guys. So I live in Apex. But I met a colleague of Dr. Westman's on a strange thing, because it was a canceled flight from Philadelphia to Raleigh to visit my daughter. And it was canceled, and I'm in line, and mentioned to the guy behind me that I guess I'll just drive. And he said, can I drive with you? So a total stranger and he drove my car, and he's Dr. Wong. Right. So I worked for Penn State University as a nutrition advisor in the county for 16 years, teaching the USDA dietary guidelines. But I never really embraced it. But, you know, it was a job, and I did the best I could with what I had without really breaking the rules too much. And so Dr. Wong asked me, we were talking, and we're in the car, and in 9 hours with Dr. Wong. And he said, did you ever, what do you think of dietary guidelines for Americans? And I said, I hate it, and I have to teach it. And I said, I'd rather do high-fat, low-carb. He said, did you ever hear Dr. Westman? No. So I learned all about you and the clinics. And then when I decided to retire and move down here, I said, well, gee, maybe I can get a job with them. So I stalked him at the clinic.
Yeah, I remember.
I'm Ginger. I went to the receptionist, and they were like, all right, well, see if I can get him, whatever. So I did, and at that time, I had no idea, but now, almost a year now, I've been doing coaching from home with people that are on the non-medical side of things. And it's really been fascinating and encouraging, and the people's stories are so interesting, and I learn from the people that I coach a lot, you know. And in the meanwhile, it's just like boom, 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 boom. I went from 175 or thereabouts, and when the scale hit 169, I thought it was 179 and that I had gained. You know what I'm saying? I saw that 9. No, but I saw the 9 and I thought I went up, but I went down. And the same thing happened when I went to 159, and now I'm 142. So like, it's just amazing, and it's so, the food is delicious, and this organization is amazing, and you know, growing. And so I've been amiss not coming. I brought my friend with me, and I came to greet everybody. All right? You're welcome.
That's wonderful. So, she used to be my partner too. I don't have a partner anymore, but that's just because I still have a coach though, so I'm still good at coaching.
Anyone want to come up? Yeah, please.
Hi, my name is Don. I'm a lifetime breadaholic. I have a wife who's a geriatric pharmacist. I have a daughter-in-law who's an attending anesthesiologist. I have a son who's an emergency room doc. My stepmother was a retired nurse. I have more medical device than a man can take. They all told me I was fat. But about 12 years ago, I began to develop type 2 diabetes. And my doctor, who I love dearly, been my doctor for 40 years, put me on medications, which kept it in control, sort of. And for those people who are concerned about how this is going to shorten your life, those medications that controlled my diabetes put me in the hospital twice in 2 years with pancreatitis. If you hate somebody, wish pancreatitis on them. It hurts, and it's frightening. Lost a very good gallbladder with that too. Any event, back in May, we were looking at a YouTube video about Dr. Noakes in South Africa, whose license was at peril, sent to us by our emergency doctor son, and we got to looking at that, and we got interested in high-fat, low-carb, and my wife, as she always does, gets online, and she finds Dr. Westman online, so we went on it. 10 days later, his advice on the web, I cut my insulin, which I'd gone to about 6 years ago, in half. And let's see, what's it now been, 2 months? 3 months. 3 months ago, I cut out all my insulin. Had a checkup not too long ago. And with my primary, and my A1C had gone from 6.8 to 6.6. And I'm utterly sold. And
So blood sugars got better off the insulin.
yes,
That's a little fine point there. You know, 6.6 is 6.8, 6.6. That's nothing. No, but he's off the medicine.
oh yes. Well, I mean, I wasn't on much insulin. I was on 100 units of long-acting and between 60 and 80 units of short-acting every single day. So
That's about average.
yeah, I was floating in insulin, and it was doing me no good at all. But if this puts my lifespan at risk, it's a risk I am willing to take.
Thank you. So I'm trying to undo all the sarcasm and humor, but that was great. Sounds like everything's going great.
Couldn't be better.
Except not all of your advice from your medical family members was good, huh?
They're both pleased and amazed. By the way, another thing that got us into it is I bought Christy Sullivan's book, and I'm looking in the back, and she's from Big Lick, North Carolina,
Yes?
6 miles from where I grew up. She's my sister's best friend in high school. My brother-in-law and my sister-in-law taught her in high school, and I'm probably kin to her because she's a honeycut before she got here.
Probably related. Well, you know, that brings up a good point that I'm finding that one of the brilliances of doing local clinics and local fairs and having doctors who are from the area is you want to be counseled by someone who's kind of like you, or you know, at least speaks the same language, has the same background, maybe even knows the same kind of foods. You know, I have a hard time teaching people in San Francisco to eat pork rinds. And a lot of people in North Carolina have never had an avocado. And so anyway, and one patient came to me and said, my cardiologist told me that I should have more quinoa. And he looked at me and said, what's a quinoa? So that local variation is cut across by just looking at the carbs. And that's the little secret about it that no one seems to want to hear. And what a story. Wow. So my world record was 180 units of insulin in 2 days taken away, which brings in be careful if you're going to try this on your own. Don't do it. Come see someone who can help you. And that's because he didn't tell me, but he was drinking 2 liters of Coca-Cola a day. You know, now, you go into the doctor, are you going to write down that you're having 2 liters of Coca-Cola a day? No. But I advised him to cut out the carbs and 20 grams or less. And he was off the insulin because he was checking the blood sugar in just 2 days. Now the number 500, the insulin story is fascinating because if you have type 2 diabetes, you already have too much insulin in your body. It's just your body doesn't listen to it, can't hear it, if you will. So what do the medical mainstream folks do? Let's just make stronger insulin. And so now, you know, there's 500 units per cc or ml. Now there's 500 units per cc and ml. And you can put it in a pump and all this. And so it's getting to the point where I was walking across the street at my clinic, and there was this car going about 5 miles an hour. And I looked over, and there's this older woman in there. Help me. I don't know where I am. It's like she's driving down the street. There's a 4-lane street, 45 miles an hour, and there was a policeman that, you know, hadn't done anything yet, but following her. And so I said, you know, what's going on? She said, my blood sugar's low, help me. So she's driving down the street. And so what do I do? Stop the car, I don't know where I am. So she stopped the car, and I reached in and put the car in park. And she said, my blood sugar's low, I don't know what to do. And the policeman had just stopped. I said, your blood sugar's low, and he's getting out of the car. So I look around in the car, and I said, do you have any sugar? Do you have anything? And she said, my blood sugar's low, I don't know what. So this is what happens when you have a hypo, a very low blood sugar. That can only happen if you're on insulin or other medication. It will not happen if you're not on a medication. So I know her.
I've had weight loss surgery So once my system was
Time out.
altered, right?
Let me finish my story.
Okay.
That's uncommon, but I mean, let me finish my story because I'm trying to bash insulin at the moment. And that's new for me because I've been president of a national organization, being a representative, and it's kind of kept me, constrained because I represent the National Organization of Medical Weight Loss Doctors. And so now I'm no longer on that board, and you can treat diabetes and get people off insulin. So back here, it's representative of a low blood sugar, however it happens, that you don't know where you are. So if you're in a car and you are going off the road, you can die. Okay? So that's the main point. However you get it is a different issue. But so I look around and oh my goodness, what's in the front seat? A bag of food. And it was an Atkins bar. Now I know that they're not that low in carbs. So I say, okay, here, eat this Atkins bar. It was the chocolate one, 2 net, but 20 total carbs, so it's got a lot of sugar in it. So she starts getting out of this, and the officer comes by, and I think she's going to be fine, so she's eating something. She had a low blood sugar. Main point is, she's not going to have a low blood sugar unless she's on a medication. This is for just about everyone. So when you're, I guess this is the mainstream medical approach to the treatment of diabetes. You already have a high insulin level, let's just give more insulin. And the hazard is you can't control the blood sugar carefully when you're eating carbs on insulin, just increasing all this. So fortunately, there are some new things coming down the pike where you can put a glucose meter on your arm and have your phone. Have you seen that on TV?
Yeah.
Of course, the mainstream isn't doing this with a low-carb diet. They're just saying eat all the carbs you want and put more insulin, and we'll just measure it. And if you look at the fine print on the meter on the advertisement, blood sugar is going like this. 200, and you don't want that. So cut the carbs out and the insulin at the same time. Your blood sugars will normalize, and you might want to keep a regular Atkins bar around if you're still on insulin. And the joke is, if she'd had one of our bars, it wouldn't have helped her. It was too low in sugar. So, but the main point is to get off the medication that's causing the low blood sugar. And so this is one of those surveys that I'd like to do. I think most people with type 2 diabetes don't know that they don't need insulin. They don't know that you can reverse diabetes and get you off insulin because the doctors have never mentioned it. So
why not?
Why don't the doctors mention it? So you want to come up and ask that, or the question is really why don't medical doctors mention it? And one of the comments was because of the drugs. So we get.
Sure, I'll be happy. I'm a little bit shy. How y'all doing? My name is Ellis Williamson. I'm here with my wife. I'm a patient of yours. My challenge is that why do people lie to you? We go to the medical profession to get help, to help us do these things. And then we get conflicting information from one doctor to the next. Then we get a fine fellow like him would tell us, else you need to change your dietary habits, and then your blood sugar will come to a normal baseline. I happen to believe it. But other people, because I work in the health profession too, will do these other things that tell you need to do other things. Somebody's lying, and we need to fix it. We live in America, the greatest health care in the world, but people are also trying to kill us too.
So have you listened to Ken Berry?
No.
In Nashville? Because he has a book called The Lies Your Doctor Told You or Tells You. I was on the low-carb cruise with him this year. He's a colorful man, and he talks about this because he's not in the university and dealing with other doctors, and he can just say what's on his mind. He's actually pretty funny and talks about lying. And I don't think it's lying. So is it, I think it's ignorance. So, and I was hoping, Alex, that you'd come down and why don't other doctors know about this? And I think it's ignorance, and then, but I don't know. I mean, see, when a doctor sees a patient like you getting better, and they then know that it was, I helped them do it, they get open to it, they get more, so it's the one-on-one teaching, which is of course a very slow process. But so the question is, why don't doctors talk about this? Alex, come on over. We have a medical student here who's on the...
Hi everyone.
Hey,
how you doing?
Pleased to meet you.
On the rotation, but also is kind of a keto guy.
I've got some experience. I've been around the block before, but
so why don't doctors talk about this?
Well,
Yeah.
so we're not actually. We were talking about this the other day. As medical students, we're not actually taught very much about nutrition. Which
That's true.
actually, I have to say though, in some ways, I think that's actually a blessing. Because if we were, I'd be telling you to be eating the bottom of the food pyramid, make sure you're getting all cereals, and you'll throw me out of here. So in some ways, maybe it's a good thing, but ultimately it's because I think we just don't know. And so I think more to Dr. Westman's point, it's more like ignorance, which is kind of crazy, but that's how it is. So this last week, I've been rotating. Actually, I even recognized some faces. I've been rotating with Dr. Westman, and ultimately, right, like most doctors at heart do want to help you. They have different ways how they do this. If I didn't see the results that you all are experiencing, I probably would be a little skeptical myself. But last week on the return days, which there are a lot of patients coming through, people telling me time after time, effortlessly, I'm just not hungry. Do I have to eat? I mean, that's insane. And then in some of the other places I've been going this week, they do it a different way. Today I saw the surgical approach where let's chop out their stomach. And then the other approach is let's just like make sure you don't eat enough food, and they're saying, Doc, I'm starving all day. So there's disagreement amongst different docs, but I think Dr. Westman and all y'all are really honing in on something that works. I mean, the results are the results.
The challenge I have is like throwing gasoline on a fire.
Yeah.
Well, giving insulin to someone who already has a high insulin level makes no sense. It's just doctors aren't taught that, and I don't. So now another element is doctors get education from drug companies.
Yeah, talk to me
How
about
else do you? How,
Oh, I know about it. I see it every day.
how so? Or,
Well, I work in a clinic that drug reps come in, and I guess I need to leave that because I don't.
well,
You know, I'm just telling the truth. I don't lie. It's not knowingly. I don't lie because I believe in the truth, and the truth that you know should set you free. Now, the problem that I have with you is I was at your clinic one day. I used to have an employee over there too. And one thing came across about how fat will help you. And I never saw it again. I never know why. If that is the case, and we are a fat burning machine, why don't we know that? I was told about 30 years ago that the USDA guidelines were based upon an 18-year-old white male person that was in pretty good health to start with. I don't know if that's true or not.
right. It was for healthy Americans.
But you look at me and tell I'm not 18. I'm not white. And I'm overweight. Well, my grandfather was Portuguese. Okay. But the point I'm trying to make to you is that we've been getting information that was not true. We need to correct that. And we cannot be timid to let folk know what the truth is. That's all I have
Thank
to
you.
say.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Sign him up.
Well,
Who are you?
yeah, who am I? My name's so you guys all. My name's Alex. I'm a medical student at Duke. I'm an MD PhD student. So I'm also kind of a lab nut. So I like to study things like Dr. Westman does. But I study mice. He studies people. Probably your stuff's more important. But I for a while actually, since I was like 13 or 14. I was into my athletics and kind of my performance, and I just happened to come across, at the time it was popular, it's called Protein Power, but it was in an Atkins-esque kind of book, and I was like 13 or 14, and I just read that, and it made a lot of sense, and I've been basically following a low-carb-ish diet for like the last 15 years. Now, I can stray from page 4 a little bit, I can afford to do that sometimes, but largely, if what is helping you all get back to good health, it kind of stands to reason that probably there's something about page 4 that would help me preventing myself getting to a place where I don't want to be. And so if it's good for coming back to normal health, it's probably also good to maintaining normal health, kind of in a preventive way. But
what's page 4? I saw some.
oh,
blank.
sorry. Wait, don't your patients know about page 4?
But not everyone's a patient.
Oh, sure. Page 4 is Dr. Westman's like very like to the point, bulleted set of rules, kind of like the 10 Commandments of the Westman Clinic, about thou shalt not eat carbs except on Sunday when God said it was good. He did it. I mean, he did everything. But sorry. I know this is on video, right? Now
Someone's going to be laughing that version now.
but it's page. It's
sarcasm.
Yeah, sarcasm. It's page 4, has the rules about how to do this, and I think wow, there you go. There you go. Page 4 has the rules, and what's kind of amazing, I think about that is that instead of having to constantly consciously regulate your food, which actually no other animal on Earth does, like consciously thinking about, oh boy, I ate too many calories, but like literally just follows the cues of its body. Dr. Westman, unlike basically anyone else, says, hey, eat when you're hungry, don't eat when you're not. Like follow your cues, eat the good stuff, and if you're eating the good stuff, your body will give you the right signals about when and when not to eat. It's kind of kind of amazingly simple, but so that's page 4. And so this week and like into the next few weeks, I've been going around to different places in the triangle that Dr. Westman kind of sent us out to see different approaches to weight loss and obesity management. And there's a variety of ways. And I have to say,
what have you seen so far?
Well, so I saw your clinic, I saw the Duke Fitness Center, and
Duke
then
Diet
Diet and Fitness Center, and then I saw the bariatric surgical clinic today. And like I would be dishonest to say that there's only one way to achieve good health. There are a lot of people have success in different ways. But I will say, this is not a study, but more anecdotally, I think the thing that strikes me the most is the simplicity of like following page 4, and that people are not hungry. Some people can lose weight on like kind of moderate to low fat, higher carbohydrate diets, but what I keep hearing, and this is more at the fitness center, is, man, I'm really hungry, or especially at night, I just like want to call for takeout. Whereas in your clinic, it's like, wow, I'm so full and so satisfied, I just don't even want to eat. Do I have to eat? Do I have to eat? And that to me is like drastically different. And if I had to pick one that you could actually live on, it would be the, hey, like, please, don't feed me more steak and salad. Like, please don't force any more steak and salad on me. Versus, oh man, do I have to eat another Triscuit? You know. So I think the results speak for themselves.
Your PhD and your interest.
Oh well, I mean,
in brief.
Or in brief, I mean,
lay
yeah,
audience.
in brief. So I'm interested in pain. I hear a lot of y'all also have pain. I think they go hand in hand. That's actually my interest in observing Dr. Westman. I mean, joints were not meant to take some of the weight that we carry around, but there are also non-weight related things that eating a subpar diet can do to like how we feel. And so I'm very interested in that intersection.
Can we do a non-scientific thing? Has anyone noticed a reduction in pain?
Yeah, there we go. I know, right? Yeah.
A lot of hands went up.
So all you, I'm going to get your name and number. I'm going to call you up. We're going to do a study. But I think it's a real thing. I think there's something really interesting there. And so
then neuropathy.
Right. It's like N-of-1. Yeah, but we may have to hold out on that. But like there's some patients that we may have seen who had pain that was even worse than normal, and it may have regressed a little bit with a ketogenic diet. So there's a lot of interesting things here, and like ultimately, right? We can theorize and write papers, and that's important. I mean, that's what I do. But like, who's getting the results? Like, is it working for you? If yes, do more of that. If not, do something different. Are you bringing the whole family up here?
Of course.
That's my wife.
Don't have the animals too, right?
Us?
No.
What?
Oh, you don't anymore?
What? Animals?
It's been a while. Wow. So we
just got a puppy actually.
I didn't know. When was it? We met about 8 years,
7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah. So come on over, Priscilla.
Hi.
What are you up to?
This is my wife, Priscilla.
Hi. I'm the one who is cooking the low-carb stuff for Alex.
Yeah.
So I'm a personal chef in the area, and I cook for clients who are doing low-carb and ketogenic diets, gluten-free diets, paleo diets, clients that have autoimmune issues, just a variety of different things. But the low-carb clients that I do have, it's been really awesome to see them losing weight, feeling better. Some of them come to me and they have like PCOS and they're able to regulate that, or some have, insulin issues or RA or whatever it is. So it's really exciting to be a part of kind of facilitating that change in them. And there are people who are super busy or maybe didn't know how to cook before, or have cooked the basic, bacon wrapped something, and then they're kind of bored after that, or they want something to change it up, something different. So I come in to bring in some new and exciting.
Make a menu. Go to the
Yeah,
supermarket.
so I'm
make the food.
Yeah, so I
clean up the kitchen.
Yeah, so I pretty much
Okay.
handle all aspects of cooking for clients. So I'll do the menu planning with them, and then I'll go grocery shopping, do all the cooking at their house, clean up afterwards. So pretty much.
Sound good
yeah.
to anybody?
Do you cater for the holidays?
I do small parties. Sometimes it just depends on what it is, or
I come along the side.
yeah. And then he comes and he helps be like the waiter. So that's an extra. So he comes and helps.
Yeah. How do we find your business?
I have a couple of businesses. My business cards, my business is Priscilla Cooks, and I kind of go all over the triangle. Some people also come to me if they need like help with, they don't need to necessarily hire me to do the cooking, but they want to learn like how to do basic cooking things, what to look for in the store when they go grocery shopping. So I kind of can be a jack of all trades there. So I'm the one cooking for him when he's working long hours too.
Yep,
So.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dr.
Thanks.
Westman. Thanks, everybody.
Other stories, problems, other comments, and then we'll get to anything you want to talk about. So, okay. Come on. Oh, no, you have your punch
Exactly.
list of questions.
Hey, I saw a rib the other day and it was mine. I'm very excited. I can't do it here, but I saw a rib. It was mine.
I don't think they heard it, but yeah.
But yes, asking for a friend. Psoriasis, eczema. Any issues with keto and that?
Yeah,
Or
should make
curing?
it better. So today and some other days, I guess recently, someone had the story of fixing their own psoriatic arthritis. So not only psoriasis, but the actual joint issues.
Okay.
And then psoriasis and eczema, yeah, definitely can get better. I don't think it's 100%. But
No
the interesting
studies?
thing, well, there are definitely no studies.
Okay.
Just like there are no hunger studies. Never on rosemary. Is it?
I was just going to say that I get eczema, and when I'm consistently low carb, it usually improves.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's interesting when, so skin issues generally, or any inflammation issue, including pain, if it's related to inflammation, should get better. And no studies on it definitely, but I think there's a signal there, which means I've seen cases, and my method is when I see 3 or 4 cases of one thing, we get a student to write up the paper and then publish it. Then usually, some years pass, and another person reads it, and that's a slow process. But anyone here notice improvement in psoriasis or eczema, anonymously?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I had the good fortune to go to all these different fairs last year where people who were doing keto, low carb, high fat come out, and one young woman told her story of rosacea going away, just totally, and it was a pretty bad case. It's a daughter of a nurse, and so definitely give it a try.
Okay.
Yeah.
Asking for a friend again. Carnivore, straight up carnivore, no vegetables at all. Pro, con,
Well, carnivory is an interesting thing.
meat only.
I mean, you just eat meat. So how you define what you eat I think is important. So pay attention. If you want to cut out vegetables and greens and things like that, you just need to make sure you're eating nose to tail. Pretend you're a wolf or a lion, and they actually go for this part of the animal first when they're eating it. So you want to make sure you get sausages and bratwurst and hot dogs and probably Vienna sausages in this area. Yeah, no, everyone's going, ew. And you got to have some Spam And-
Okay, that will be enough.
but what's
Spam,
interesting,
well, spam fried is not bad. Spam fried is not bad.
what's there is a body of knowledge though of how plants and vegetables can actually make people sick. So I think there are susceptible people for whom minimizing or not having them at all. So actually there's no, so in all honesty, no sarcasm aside, animals that are carnivores don't get vitamin deficiencies. Okay? So I think the human animal is an omnivore, meaning you can be an herbivore or a carnivore and be fine. I think we might do better if we are more toward the carnivore side of things. And when you look at the gut of the human and the gut or the intestines of a dog, it's the same. So actually, a dog or a cat.
I am. He went straight carnivore and dropped what? 2 belt loops or 2 belt?
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many?
So, whenever you're asking for someone else, okay.
That's not always me.
Just that.
Well, there's
I just want to make sure he's not gonna crap out on me.
So if you're on the Twitter world, Amber O'Hearn speaks about this at the Keto Low-Carb conferences. And she's done a great job of just assembling science in a way that shows that, when you think about it, plants put bad things in the leaves, so mammals don't eat them. So, isn't that interesting? If you were a plant and you didn't want an animal to eat you, you would put bad things in the leaves. So, I think what we've done over time in human vegetables and all that is we've kind of diluted out all of the bad stuff. Tomatoes used to be a toxin, and now we've diluted out the stuff. So, it's an interesting area. The medical mainstream probably wouldn't really value that and would probably tell you to be sure to eat your 5 to 7, is it 7 to 11 servings of grains
5 to
and
7. I don't remember.
whatever
There's
it
a
was.
lot.
So we know that's not true, but so I'm not worried if, especially why not take a multivitamin just in case,
Okay.
and in my clinic, as long as you have regularity, I don't worry much.
Okay. And last one, salt sticks. No issues there, right?
Salt sticks.
Sticks like
For cows?
I went no.
A salt
Yeah.
lick?
No.
I don't know what a salt stick
A
is.
salt stick. Well, I went to play tennis the other day. Just could not get my speed up. So he read somewhere salt sticks kind of help. No issues with
Just
keto though.
just getting salt, you mean?
No, it's a pill.
Pill.
It's real.
It's an athletic supplement. It's just a salt in a tablet.
Salt tablet, sure.
Yeah. Eat
No.
it.
No issues.
I had this, woke up one morning thinking, gosh, if someone's hungry, maybe they should eat. And if they're thirsty, maybe they should drink. And if they crave salt, maybe they should have salt.
Oh yes, I
Were you
heard that.
craving salt?
I wasn't craving salt. I'm sorry, I wasn't craving salt, but what your rings don't fit. When you have too much salt, nothing fits anymore. Rings,
Yeah, okay.
not that your earrings get tight, but pants, shirts. Everything gets tight. Your feet get fat. It's just not good.
Was that your last question?
That's it.
No.
All right. Yeah,
Really?
That's it.
That's it?
That's it. I told you,
So,
short list.
Thanks for you.
Yes.
So, you have a group you want to start up and grow towards.
She does. I'm going to start a group in Charlotte. It hasn't started yet. I want to do something. I can't tell you what. But find it on Facebook, Charlotte Keto, Keto Charlotte.
I think I got it linked on mine.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She always has a list.
Yeah, well, it gets shorter each time.
I know.
That's good.
I'm really fascinated. So.
One of the Australian doctors, I think, had a great explanation of why you're getting bad information from your regular doctors. He said, it was a great line. He says it takes medicine 10 years to change its mind and 25 years to admit it's wrong.
Did everyone hear that? Yeah. Well, and another kind of black humor is that you don't convince the old people of the new idea. You wait till they die off. and the young, and this was actually a physicist who said that. And the youngsters have new rules of physics that they believe in, and so it's a human process, and it might take a generation for things to.
Clinicians also live in fear of being sued. So
Well, you know, that's an interesting thing. There's a fear of being sued. I don't know of any doctor that's been sued as a result of prescribing a low-carb diet. I don't know. I haven't.
Except for Dr. Noakes.
Well, actually, a patient did not sue Dr. Noakes.
That's right.
In fact, a patient did not sue Dr. Fetke. Yeah, so when an organization is threatened, a perceived threat, then they're the ones who bring up the issue. And even then, these are relatively small countries that don't have a whole lot of jockeying for lobbying and things like that. So, yeah, so please let me know if that's ever happened, because I'm not aware of that happening, and that's reassuring to other doctors to know that, because if a doctor is living in fear of being sued by prescribing an Atkins diet, they're just way out of touch. But fear is something that can stay on for a lifetime. But so, yeah, come on down. Thank you.
So hello, my name is Cynthia Earl. I'm a reluctant keto person. So under full disclosure,
I don't know what a reluctant keto means.
I'm a physician assistant. So therefore, with all the training that
I'm an MD.
I know. You're why I'm here. So I was looking at paleo, keto, all this other stuff, and everyone was telling me that that's too much fat, and I started researching it more. And I actually work in urology, and I have patients who have many, many problems, and half of them, especially relating to urine flow, is because they're drinking too much caffeine. So a lot of health problems can be changed. I mean, originally, weight loss, hypertension, first treatment for diabetes and hypertension is weight loss. But medical folks don't do it because they don't have the time. They don't have people to train people. It takes 30 minutes to train a person how to do this right. It takes 5 minutes to give you a prescription. And the way that medicine works now, they want everything done in 10 to 15 minutes. Most people don't have the luxury of working in their own office and can do what they want to do. Everything is, as the medical school student will tell you, everything is timed. They want you out of there in 15 minutes. And that is a lot. A lot of people do know what's best. I have many of my patients, and I tell them, no, I'm not going to put you on this medicine until you stop the carafe coffee. They get mad at me. Some of them go and see somebody else. And they end up coming back because the pill doesn't work real well. So that is a lot of it. It's not, some of them don't know because medical students, PA students, nurse practitioners, we're just not taught that much nutrition. So the more you learn, the more you're willing to change. But a lot of it is time constraints. And then the issue now of how medicine works is all based on time. So that's some of it.
Can we do a test?
Certainly.
So this is even quicker than writing a prescription. Let's say you have someone who wants to, well, no, they don't even have to want to do it. You see that they need to change what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So you hand them one of these cards and say, call them. Well, it's actually a website. You go and you type in, and let's see if it works. There's going to be a percentage of folks who all they need is the direction of here, you know, so people will come to me and say, you know, my doctor said go look at that Atkins book. So I read your book and I lost 100 pounds, and why are you seeing me? Well, I just wanted to make sure I was doing it right. So there'll be a percentage of folks who just are not in that direction. Having a book on the wall, a bookshelf, saying, you know, why don't you go, you know, why don't you go out and get this book? You don't have to buy it for them or anything. So, and then it doesn't take any time. There'll be a percentage of folks who will respond. But you know, we're in a world where we want everyone to have the success, and in a similar situation in a medical office myself, I realize now there's a specialty of obesity care. I was just the president of the organization of 2,000 obesity medicine specialists. So there is a specialty. If someone has, you know, especially medications, they need to see a specialist. Now, because all of that stuff you mentioned. But if it's someone who doesn't need all that stuff, they might be able to just be pointed in that direction. And out of the whole, I don't know, array of folks in your office, they're probably on weight-positive drugs. If they're on Lyrica or other sorts of insulin or diabetes treatments, of course. These are medicines that basically put people on an escalator of weight gain, and then the medical community waits for them at the top saying, here's the way to the bariatric surgery clinic. That's just the way the finances work in the current medical model. But so this is one thing that I'll have some doctors who just buy the book or have a few things to hand out and say, now again, it's a percentage game. It might be 5% of your patients will actually do it.
And for myself, I started this around February, and I've lost 27 pounds. So patients are starting. So other people in my clinic are starting keto, and patients are starting to ask me, and that's one of my whys, to be able to learn more information and to be able to help other people.
And are you in a practice where you want to advertise what you're doing, or?
No, I can't. I work at the VA, so.
Okay. Oh, here in Durham?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Concentrate. Thank you.
What's the connection between caffeine and keto?
Yeah, I don't believe that matters, but.
No, I wasn't talking about keto. I was talking about I work in urology, so caffeine and urination.
Urology?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay, I was thinking, I heard neurology. So, fantastic, yeah.
I'll just stay right here, but I just wanted to tell my own experience, one woman to another. I actually started myself dieting last October, and I went on what I thought was a low-carb diet, just doing my own research and reading and everything. And basically, I limited myself to meat and vegetables and cut out all the white stuff. Well, doing it on my own and not really knowing what portions or that I should be counting carbs or things like that, I still lost. I was like, it took me 3 months to lose like 20 pounds. But then I went on the keto diet in January. That's when I came to my first support group meeting. And since then, I've lost another 47 pounds. So I'm down 67 Now for me, that was the key. And I know you keep saying low carb, low carb, low carb, but I think that was the key for me. When I was trying to do my own low carb thing, I was still hungry all the time. And I lost weight, but a lot of it was due to willpower and wanting to so badly. But when I went on the keto diet, measuring my carbs and learning what proper portions are and the amounts of foods that I should be eating, it was much easier. I'm just not hungry anymore. So I have gone from a woman's size 24 in pants to a size 16. That's less than a year because I have my fat picture and I took it in the NC State Fair last October, so it hasn't been a year yet. And there's a remarkable difference. So I know from experience, it's doable.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need to come up. Is there a difference with someone who's had bariatric surgery and doing keto? Or are they all the
Great
same?
question. Does it matter if you've had bariatric surgery and doing keto, or just eating real food is how I define keto. You can complicate keto by worrying about macros and doing apps and all that, but eating real food is healthy for anyone, even if someone's had bariatric surgery. Now there's some special considerations that you won't have to be knowledgeable about in terms of vitamins and what kind of surgery it was, but in general, you would use the same kind of approach. Yeah. There are actually some problems after weight loss surgery that's corrected by cutting sugar out. And those papers are just getting published now where, oh, lo and behold, the blood sugars that went like this after bariatric surgery get normalized out when you do low carb after bariatric surgery. So, yeah, it would have happened before the surgery too, but you know, they had already had the surgery. So, but yeah, there's really, you want to pay attention to things like iron, anemia, that sort of thing. But so, you know, in my view of all the, so Alex, the med students at Duke get to rotate through all of the different weight loss approaches that we have here at Duke and Durham. So the medical, the surgical, and from my standpoint, it's just still a little harsh to do the surgeries, you know, and you might get a long-term consequence that you don't need to get if you just change the food or take a medication. And that's my obesity medicine cheerleader hat, not surgical obesity, but medical obesity treatments. Is there another question? Yeah.
Can I ask a question? This came up in my last session. I am not hungry, but I am bored. And that creates a problem.
I pointed to the keto cook. That's what's his point, right? To have new flavors and new truly keto products. It's one option.
I'm bored during the day. Just
I think
She eats.
her word is, I'm not hungry, but I'm bored, I'm going to go eat.
right.
Which I accept.
Oh.
Anybody have any suggestions?
So, is there anything you can do besides eating during the day?
Water.
Well, go for a walk, go for a run, get a hobby,
It's like, yes, shopping.
start a keto club. Yeah, so that's the kind of thing that getting people involved in things other than eating can be important. Especially one person came in and said, I don't know what to do with all this time. I'm not worrying about where I'm going to eat next, and I'm not worried about my next meal. And so I said, okay, volunteer at my church. You know, they'll be happy to take your time, you know, and help other people. But so I don't know if that's helpful. If it's a food variety, that's different. If it's a social need to do something, be with other people, or the OLLI education at Duke, you can take courses and.
For a number of 315 classes. So.
Fantastic. Yes.
So just one quick comment on what you just asked. Part of that I would say is every time that you're bored and you catch yourself doing that, recognize it. Because recognizing it you'll be able to say, I'm not really hungry and I'm just doing this out of a habit, and it'll change your mindset. Next, can you explain, like I started keto, this is six weeks ago. The first 3 weeks it was like 18 pounds, and then after that I think I know what occurred. I think it's because I reintroduced my Diet Mountain Dew, not completely, but I reintroduced Diet Mountain Dew back in, and it seems like I've just stalled. Like, I mean, I've lost a couple more pounds, but it seems like that after that I wasn't eating anymore, but I noticed that I was hungry, or you know, it just didn't seem as satisfied as before. Is there a correlation, or is that just coincidence, or what?
So the initial weight loss was greater than it is now.
Yes.
That's pretty universal if there's a water weight loss.
Right.
And so your body gets rid of salt. You may be urinating a lot and drinking a lot, and that is why there's an initial larger weight loss. But a pound or two per week of weight loss is what I normally see in people who are being very strict, and so there's a wide range. If you're at a pound per week, I think that's just fine of weight loss. There's a part of the weight loss process is it's never fast enough, and you get the Facebook, internet bias toward the upper side of the bell-shaped curve. So, you know, us normal people or down here in the lower end of the bell-shaped curve don't go out on Facebook. So you're going to get the skewed view of what's normal or what should be expected. So across all people who come back to a clinical setting and who are doing it, I see a pound or two of weight loss per week, and that's reassuring for a lot of people. In fact, sometimes water weight goes up, and my magic scale that people can step on shows that there's a water weight gain, which doesn't mean things are not working, but the scale hasn't changed, so you think it's not working. But the way to know about that is if the clothes are changing or the scale is changing, just keep doing what you're doing. And I have a lot of people who use artificial sweeteners and they do fine. There are a lot of people who use artificial sweeteners and they do fine. I'll let people have a 6-pack of Diet Coke rather than have one Coke as a compromise position, like methadone maintenance to keep people off heroin. Not really. So if you drink the fire hose of keto and you can't do this, can't do that, you kind of put yourself in a corner of what do you do? Well, I'll just go have a Coke. You know, and no. So, and yet there are enough people who've said, you know, I was stalled and it wasn't a water weight deal and I changed the artificial sweetener and it started again. I value that. No research studies on that.
Okay.
Sadly. And if having an artificial sweetener makes you want to have artificial sweetener again, and it makes you want the sweet taste, but you're not having sugar.
Right.
So the study that was done that said artificial sweeteners make people have more sugar allowed them to have sugar. So as long as you stay on your diet, whatever, and you're still losing a pound a week, I would say just keep doing what you're doing.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you recommend any one artificial sweetener over the other?
Is there a better artificial sweetener than another? That's a great question. Of course, how many folks know Andreas Ienfeld, dietdoctor.com? It's a great resource. There's a free side and there's a subscription side, dietdoctor.com. Andreas is a tall Swede doctor who now is full-time internet and creating content, and it's a great resource. He'll tell me there's no good artificial sweetener. And I ask him, well, what planet are you from? Because, oh yeah, Sweden. They don't have the same sweet tooth issue in Sweden as we've created in the US. So of all of the artificial sweeteners, I don't think there's really one better than another. It's the one that tastes right for you. Now, you might say, oh, but stevia is natural, it's a plant, but a lot of people don't like the tastes, so they've cut stevia with other, mixed it with other types of sweeteners. I don't think there's any one right answer there. And I mean, if you ask me what the healthiest diet on earth was, I'd say don't have that stuff. We really don't know what it does. And so if you were asking me what the healthiest diet on earth was, well, don't have that stuff. But if you're trying to maintain away from sugar and you're living in today's world, then artificial sweeteners are okay.
I've heard a lot of Atkins things too. Is Atkins, are you pro or con that? I mean, it is carbs, isn't it?
So Atkins company, you mean, or Atkins products?
Products.
Yeah, okay. So it's interesting. Did you know, when you think of Kellogg, you think of cereal? Did you know there was a Dr. Kellogg? Battle Creek, Michigan, created the cornflakes. There's actually a Dr. Atkins. And so I'm afraid are you talking about Dr. Atkins and what he did in the clinic and the kind of our legacy of uncomplicated keto? Or are you talking about the company that he sold before he died and they started putting all this stuff in the products and they really don't think of themselves as a weight loss company much? So today's Atkins Nutritionals has a lot of products that they think are for just generally healthy people, and they don't necessarily think of themselves as a weight loss company. So the way I like to teach it is by total carbs, not net carbs, and some of the products are consistent with a truly low total carb diet, and others are not. So I'm afraid it's not a simple answer, yes, no, good, bad. It's like any food, you have to look at the total grams of carbohydrates.
I've spent my life gaining and losing weight. I told all my cousins in our family that they all owed me because I got a fat cell in the family. And I bought some active bars the other day, and oh my gosh, they were so delicious. They can't possibly not be good.
So
They were
there,
like chocolate
could you hear
nuts
that?
and caramel and
So one of the products was so delicious it couldn't be good. Well, do you feel that way when you have a filet mignon with béarnaise sauce?
Mayonnaise sauce.
Oh dear. Come on over to the fat side. So, anyway, that was a cruel joke. I'm sorry. Yeah. So if something generally, if you have a sweet thing like any bar that makes you want to eat another one, and then another one, we call that a trigger food. So for most people, at first, those things are off limits, but they want to have some low-carb programs, keto programs, allow you to have nuts. But have you ever had occasion to not be able to stop eating nuts?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the approach that we use is at first you don't use nuts or have nuts, because eating the nuts makes you want more nuts, then you have way too many nuts and you can't stay under the limit. So if there's a product, even a food, that's a trigger food for you, then I would stay away from it, whether it's sweet or savory. For some people, I think pork rinds become trigger foods. You eat to the bag, the amount in the bag, rather than to fullness in the stomach. And that's something you just have to learn.
I have a question. If someone is doing keto and then they, say, oh, well, I really want to have this a meal or two or whatever. I haven't cheated, but there's other people who have.
A friend of yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is
Asking
that
for
works?
Asking for
Does it affect your body in a more detrimental way to here and there have things that you're not supposed to?
I think what you're asking is, let's say you're kind of doing a keto diet. You're not doing it every day. Are we talking 6 days a week, 3 days a week?
Well, like my dad
4
was
days.
here last month. He does partial keto and partial not. And then I have someone else who just occasionally doesn't do keto.
Yeah. So if you're trying to lose weight, you have to be strict. And it's a function of our bodies are set up to either burn carbs or burn fat. And once you eat carbs, you have to burn them because we don't store carbs, we store fat. So the more carbs you eat, the more you have to burn them and not burn the fat. And we're just learning now, in some people, if you do have a meal that has carbs, it will knock you out of the fat burning for 3 days. That's the good scenario. There's some people who are knocked out of fat burning for 2 weeks. And so if you're not losing weight and you're having some carbs once a week, just be stricter. It's not that the diet's not working. Even if you're doing the diet and you're not strict, you're having carbs once every 2 weeks, if you have that kind of metabolism, you're really not following the diet right. It's not that the diet isn't working. So that we've learned really only recently, because now we can study the diet without getting in trouble, that some people are knocked out of ketosis for a couple weeks after having the carbs. So just be strict is the main issue, and get things that make food tasty, and go out and get a bike hobby, go ride the bike instead, and there are lying down bikes and things that you can actually get. Did I answer your question?
Well, what would be like a carb limit, let's say? Is there a thing, I know you're 20 or less, but I'm saying, if they ate 3 Oreos.
Well, so there are individual carb thresholds. It's not fair. The younger you are, the more active you are, the more male you are, probably the higher the carb allotment is, and be able to be losing weight. Now, kind of the unknown question is, do you need to be in ketosis all the time? And or do you, is having an Oreo once a day kind of like having a cigarette once a day? And so that's what I'm thinking, is that it's not an all or nothing, it's going to kill you, but the more of the inflammation you have from eating the carbohydrates, I think it's kind of like, or maybe having a cigar every day. Is that an acceptable risk that you're willing to have? Or do you want to be as healthy as you can and don't have that Oreo cookie or don't have that cigar? Of course, a Oreo doesn't stink up the house. So some people are willing to take on that risk, others aren't. So I'm not such a purist that I don't understand there are other aspects to it. So I do kind of remember that early, for me it was 15 years ago. My husband's doing keto, but he's not doing it strictly. Is he going to die early because he's having fat and still eating all that stuff? Well, maybe. I mean, so that's just that. You got to work that out for this family. Yeah.
So it's not specifically about the Lancet study, but because it seems like there's a number of these studies that come out, and I want to get your opinion. Does anybody contact you to say when they're putting together a hypothesis to test in a study? Do they ask you what your diet is that they should study? So I look quickly at the Lancet study, and the first quintile is 37% carbohydrates.
Right. We're at 5% carbohydrates.
Yeah. I mean, I ballpark that at 130 grams of carbohydrates, something around there, right? That's not your diet, and I don't think it's anybody's advocated diet. So and maybe this is a question for the MD PhD as well. Is these study designs all seem flawed? How come we get all these bad studies? Does anyone come to you to ask, what should we reframe our question? What is the question we should, if we're trying to say, does your diet work? Should we know what your diet is?
Well, I guess before we get to that, what the studies are, the nutritional epidemiology studies, is they're just looking at the general population. And you have to admit that most people eat carbs. And in that particular study, the lower amount of carbs that people were eating were still high compared to what we would be saying is good. So I'm pretty sure they probably look at someone, if they put their food record in and said they only eat 20 grams of carbs a day, they probably threw it out as an outlier or a mistake, So there isn't representation in a nutritional epidemiology study of a keto group. So basically, the keto world has to band together and show that there's a certain health behind it and not assume that anyone else is going to detect it among the general population. Now that said, it's been a little disappointing that the federal funded researchers have not asked the keto experts on how to do their studies. Now, in the South we say, bless their hearts. Dr. Christopher Gardner, whom I respect highly, decided to do a funded study by the old NUSI organization, which no longer has any money, it still exists. And they decided here's the low-carb group, and we'll tell people to eat as many carbs as they feel that they can sustain over the long term. And instead of, if they asked me, I'd say stay under 20 grams. But I want more. No, no, you can't. So what they ended up was a 30% carb diet in the low-carb group. So it didn't study what we were interested in, which was a lower keto kind of group. And that was actually not NIH. He gets NIH money, but this was a outside study. Anyway, so the good news is that there are young scientists who are unencumbered by the old, you can't study that. And there are some that we're watching grow, and getting a K award is a great way to start because it's an early investigator award. They're generally easier to get. And or you hide the study under a different name. So a doctor who will remain nameless in our area in the VA, you can't tell that it's a keto study because he named it something different. It's not even in the abstract. So you can kind of hide the fact, and there may be these other studies going on that we don't know of because they have couched it in a different name that doesn't cause flack, so to speak. So anyway, I think to answer your question, the studies out there just haven't been designed to answer the questions that we want to have answered.
Well, yeah, I mean, it seems like that's where you would start, to say, well, what is the diet people have, and then try to answer that question, rather than answering some unrelated question to what's the second, the effect of the 30% carb diet. Because no one was asking that question.
Well, but you see, to them, so I'm pretty sure what happened is, remember last summer, the mouse study came out saying the mice lived 13% longer if the middle-aged mice were put on a keto diet or a regular chow. Anyway, it's big in the low-carb world. So, well, if mice live longer, then we're going to have to do a study, rustle up some data and show that in humans it doesn't work that way. So they defined a low-carb as something that wasn't anything near what low-carb in our world is. But to them, it's kind of low. Yeah. So,
Low compared to the baseline.
Low compared to the typical American diet. Yeah. Yeah.
With
Yeah.
20.
Oh, hang on. Yeah.
What's your feeling of intermittent fasting?
So intermittent fasting is an interesting concept, which I think is fine in the context of a keto or low-carb diet. We just don't call it that. We say eat when you're hungry, and if you eat once or twice a day, that's fine. Would you go fill up your car 5 times a day if the gas tank was full? Yeah, I said that to someone. She said, yeah, I top it off. So there are people come in all shapes and sizes, as you know, in urology. But intermittent fasting, if you're talking about just regular American food, eating once a day, or no. So there are some studies done, published, that unfortunately they use high-carb diets. So the way the NIH investigators define intermittent fasting, it's under a high-carb circumstance. Now, some people need that idea of, I need to do something. Like, I can't just not eat once a day, so I'll do intermittent fasting. And I eat once a day. And that's fine, if you want to label it that way. And I understand that can give a time beating that helps just say, but to me, it's sort of like the urge. If the urge to eat is like the urge to go to the bathroom, the first sign when you're on the highway to go to the bathroom to urinate. I mean, does anyone stop on the highway immediately? Oh, you do? No. Okay. So we're talking about biological urges that, hopefully you can wait to the rest stop or the gas station, but often someone feels that urge of hunger and they have access to the food, or there's overlay of anxiety with it that just kind of fades away on keto. But intermittent fasting is a body of knowledge suffers from lack of publications. So in the low-carb keto world, we have the debate of, are you getting enough protein? And if you total fast for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, in the consensus view, we don't think you're getting enough protein. So the total fasting, more than just a few days, now we're the consensus now, the rebels now are saying that we need more data on whether the muscle mass is preserved if you're going to do total fasting.
Can I add
Yeah.
to that? I use dietdoctor.com all the time, and especially if somebody like myself has an emotional attachment to eating, intermittent fasting really is no different than eat when you're hungry. If you're not hungry until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then you're not eating until you're hungry. But in my mind, if I'm calling it intermittent fasting, and I've done it, I'll eat too much. I won't listen to my body because in my sick mind, I've been fasting, so I need to eat more. So it's a terminology thing, and that's why this is so good, because you need that psychological help to get you through. For those of us who have this kind of thinking mind.
So it's not a coincidence that I'll have someone come in and say, I didn't have breakfast. I'll say, good. I mean, I do that on purpose. I'm trying to reward the behavior by, sometimes it's a shock taking a bath that you'd be rewarded for not eating. I mean, because you were always rewarded by eating. So I have to counter probably 1,000 hits of I feel good, you know, I was praised with food and all that, and I realize that it takes time, and I do that on purpose to say, oh good, you didn't have breakfast. Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny. I have to say it's okay not to eat to people. Isn't that kind of funny? Yeah, but that's just the way we've been conditioned, and I think our time is running out. If there, I'm happy to stay around to answer. Oh yeah.
On the 20 gram limit a day, how does that equate as a percentage?
So the 20 total grams of carbohydrate, what does that relate to percentage? It's usually about 5 to 10% of carbohydrates for the daily carbohydrate or daily caloric level, depending on how much you're eating.
Yeah.
So it's going to range from 5 to 10%. And in these other studies, they're looking at 30% as the low.
Which is way more than your 20.
Yeah, so we're like way off the scale.
Yeah.
As like, you know, can't be living, you know, we're off the scale.
So 20 grams, you said 5 to 10%? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you have a fat and protein number?
No.
What's for that too?
No. So you build the diet. And then what would be the protein and fat ratio for this? Like I have some secret percentage that these apps have, right? No, sorry, you got to come up with your own. You got to listen to your body. No, some of these apps actually cause trouble because I had one and it said time for lunch. I said, what? I don't want lunch. I couldn't turn it off. And another one that said, you're not eating enough calories. Wait a minute. Another one said, you need more protein. I feel fine. So these are not designed for the individual variability that we are. So careful. If the apps are working, great, but if they're not, you know.
I've never used one in all these years. Never.
Yes,
Can I
last
just get,
idea.
like, a couple of,
We got to wrap up. So.
I know, just a drink and a snack that I find popular when I help people be on the diet. One thing is to cut up a whole entire head of cauliflower, the little tiny trees, you know. And instead of having that craving for chips and dip, use cauliflower. Because you have to eat it slow, you know. It's part of your low-carb vegetables, right? And then you make yourself a little dip. Somebody said they did sour cream, shredded cheddar, and bacon. And I'm dreaming about that because I haven't done it yet. It really sounds good. So, like, if you have a little dip there and you come home from work and you want chips, or you want to, you know, get yourself some little cauliflower to use as your low carb vegetable. And then a drink that my daughter discovered, and it's in the car. I can't wait to go out and sip it. It's like your water, right? You get bored with just water. So you put a little apple cider vinegar and a little ginger powder and your sweetener of choice, which I use like just a drop of stevia. It almost tastes like a ginger juice. And my little 3-year-old grandson grabs our bottle and I want the ginger juice. But it's a really delightful drink that you can make at home, put ice in your bottle, and when you want to eat, if you just sip something like that, there's no carbs in it, and it's, it kind of puts off that hunger.
Someone mentioned either like drinking wine or stuff like that. Is that a no-no?
So the little like different drinks and cauliflower snack. This is a Heal partner giving these little detail kinds of things. And I'll say just talk to the partner because everyone has a little different tastes, right? Well, I don't like cauliflower. Well, that's what we help you figure out. Wine or alcohol is possible. There are a lot of individual variability, right? So some people can have alcohol and do fine, others can't. So that's a individual kind of thing.
And the type, beer versus wine.
Yeah, again, it's an individual thing.
Some people drink beer.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people can drink beer, yeah. Great. Well,
I think we are wrapping up.
Until next month.
Until next month, we'll be here the first